when it comes to renewable energy, I think not a lot of people appreciate. I think South Africans, we've all got solar on our rooftops, so we kind of have a bachelor's degree in renewable energy. But there's a lot of nuances to it that people, I don't think, or businesses don't necessarily appreciate enough. I think the biggest factor is that when it comes to renewable energy, you pay for what is generated. You don't pay for what is consumed, and that's a fundamental difference. So the reason that is critical is that we're all used to a world where you switch off the plug, you don't pay for it. When it comes to renewable energy, if the wind is blowing and the sun is shining, you have to pay for that energy being generated, and that's a fundamental difference. And the reason that is important is that we are not experienced or equipped necessarily to manage that risk on that. You can't control the wind, you can't control the cloud cover. And businesses often can't control or shouldn't be in a position where they control their electricity consumption based on wind or solar patterns. This is completely unreasonable. And for that reason, the market, when renewable energy started to be adopted in South Africa, sort of worked on the principle of saying, let's not try and manage that risk, let's actually try and avoid that risk, which I think was appropriate at the time, but what it resulted in is that businesses often took up renewable energy to the point of what is called wasted energy. So just take enough energy so that if the wind really blows or the sun really shines or your own consumption really drops, that you never pay for electricity that you don't need. The consequence is that a few years, basically how it plays out over time is that businesses only take renewable energy to replace 30, 40, maybe 50% of their current consumption. So they're always 50% reliant on dirty electricity, which, I mean, for the head of ESG, reducing your emissions by 50% is a massive win. But if you think about it in terms of the long-term narrative, getting to a point of large renewable energy penetration should be the objective. I mean, we, as Discovery, our origins are really also in this space where we looked at Discovery Green looked at renewable energy for our own operations, so Discovery as a whole. We looked at it and found that every single provider was offering us a 50% solution. And we kept asking ourselves, is there a way to find that other 50? It took us on an interesting journey, a very much a data-driven journey, whereby we got an enormous amount of data around renewable energy, around business consumption, and through a large amount of actuaries at the problem to say, listen, how could you solve this? How can we get to 100%? You don't want to get 50, you want to get to 100, and how can you do it? And the answer really lied in diversification. So if you're able to find enough businesses with diverse consumption profiles, and you almost think of it as like the Tetris blocks that you put together, if you're able to put them all together in the right way, you're actually able to get to a point where you can say to companies, it's not 50%, it's 90%. And at that 90%, you get the benefit of replacing 9/10 of your electricity consumption with green energy, but most importantly, without the risk of wasted generation. So using sort of that lens, a bit more of a mathematical actuarial lens to it, we're able to find a way to offer companies basically renewable energy at a discount, and it's price certain. And when we say renewable, we're not saying 30, 40% renewable, we're saying 90%. We're replacing 90%. And that has been sort of our journey around this. And the mining industry in particular has been very, very receptive to a big replacement of the emissions factor.